Zuk, and this is Planets and Profit, business astrology for entrepreneurs.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Deb Peretz, and I'm delighted that you joined me for another episode of Planets and Profit. My guest today is Jackie Zuk. Jackie's business is to get her clients on scene where it matters. She has hundreds of thousands of social media connections and loyal followers, all looking for the very latest trends and fashions, inspiring products, and cutting-edge business ventures. Jackie's the editor of NEXTonSCENE magazine and the host of NEXTonSCENE with Jay-Z podcast with over 430,000 listeners. Jackie's a producer of promotional events and PR campaigns. Jackie has formal training in public relations and extensive experience in TV and radio production, including casting. Through her company, NEXTonSCENE, Jackie manages successful PR campaigns. She also promotes her clients and showcases the very latest fashions, new products, and interesting startup ventures. I'm delighted to have her on the show today. With Jackie's emphasis on fashion, publicity, and promotion, I think of Leo, who loves to be the center of attention and admiration. However, Jackie's focus isn't on herself, but on behalf of others, her clients. So it's not surprising that we find Leo on her descendant, which is the 7th house cusp, where the 1st house is all about the self, how you show up, your choices, your actions, your appearance. The 7th house is more about what you seek in others. Traditionally associated with intimate relationships, it actually represents any close friendship or partnership, including creative partnerships and business partnerships. So we can see that Jackie has this instinctive attraction to Leo glamour and attention getting. But with her Virgo sun in the 7th house as well, Jackie works hard to use her skills in service to others, especially to those she's in close relationship with. So excited to have you here.
So excited to be here, Deb. Can't wait to dive in.
Wonderful. So just a little background. I know Jackie from Pepper Lane, this fabulous networking group that we both belong to. And I've been really eager to get you on the show to explore a little bit the astrology of someone who is marketing, media, and branding. So let's dive into a little bit of your journey. So how did you arrive at the business you now have?
So I'm from New York and moved to Boston 6 years ago, and I didn't know anybody outside of my husband at the time, who was my boyfriend at the time, which I will also put out there. So it was really hard. I was applying to all these jobs, and I wasn't hearing back. And I think subconsciously it was because I knew I wanted to run my own business. And prior in New York, I was a talent agent. I would place babies to 8-year-olds in TV. I was in event planning. I also promoted nightclubs and got people to go. So I was like, let me take my skill sets of what I know how to do and figure out how to sell it to people. So when I moved, obviously I started to network, and I found that there was this missing market for small businesses and startups that were looking for cost-effective ways to share their story and be seen. And so I landed at this radio station in Woburn, and it became podcasts just became a thing. And so it was like 6 years ago. And so they threw me into a show, and it was a startup. So there was no money to be made there. And I was like, this is great, but like, how do I make money? Like, I just moved from New York. Like, I'm out of my previous job. I need to monetize. So I left the company, the startup, and I started to research on YouTube, and I basically learned how to monetize, how to set up a podcast in my guest room closet, and how to monetize and share people's stories with others. And it started as little as like $50, right? So I would share people's interviews. I would promote it on social media before social media really started to kick off too. I would share on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on all the channels. And people were like, what else can you do? Like, we're getting leads, we're getting business. Like, this is really exciting. What else more can you do? And so well, we could try social media. We can try these other avenues and see what happens. So that's basically how my podcast went to more social media focused. So I would combine both of those offerings and when I worked with people. And if you're in media and listening to this, and if you're not in media, if you don't know people, it's very hard to get in with media. So I wanted to put a stop to that. And I was like, how can people reach out and feel welcome and feel connected and create like a community where even if you can't reach the direct editor, there's somebody that can do that for you. So I went back to YouTube, launched my magazine, because I wanted to create a tangible product that people can get. And I originally was just for my clients because I didn't have contacts at the Google Herald or anything. And now it's way beyond that. So I wanted to create a one-stop shop. They come to NEXTonSCENE and they basically get all their media needs needed, whether we do it in-house or we outsource it. So it's what we do.
That sounds really exciting. So tell me a little bit about who you are. What aspects of your personality do you think help you in your business? Like what makes you want to do this? What makes you good at this?
I think I mean, my outgoing personality is definitely my strength. Because when I moved, I didn't know anyone, and I actually became a super introvert for a while. Because it's really intimidating when you don't know people, and so it's so funny when you review things and you look back on it, and it almost was like I needed to go through that period of time to push myself out of my comfort to grow where I am now, and I'm really glad that I did because it was really hard.
Jackie just said that she was a super introvert for a while. After moving to a new city, she was intimidated and had to push herself out of her comfort zone to grow. And it was hard. This is an excellent description of a Cancer moon. The moon reflects our emotional experience of reality. The moon reflects our feelings, our mood. And Cancer is ruled by the moon, so it feels at home here. But it's the crab, the symbol of Cancer, that I want to talk about for a moment. As a crab grows, its shell becomes too small. It actually has to shed its shell in order to grow a bigger, better fitting one. And in that in-between time, the crab is quite vulnerable. So too with the Cancer archetype. We have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable as we shed part of ourselves that no longer fits anymore. We've outgrown it. Just as Jackie did when she pushed herself out of her comfort zone, even when she felt vulnerable as a newcomer to a new city. On the one hand, you talk about how you have an outgoing personality, but on the other hand, you had this introvert stage and you had to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Could you just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first of all, when you walk into a room and you don't know anyone there and you're by yourself, no matter how outgoing you are, it's always intimidating. Like it doesn't matter if you're willing to walk up to the person. If you're moving to a new state and you don't know anybody, like you're not alone in that to think that it's okay to be intimidated. So I definitely went through a phase of like being depressed and had a really high anxiety. And I was like, I want to go back to New York because it's not worth staying here. And my best advice for that is like sticking it out. Like, I think for me, like I had to go through, talking to people and networking more one-on-one rather than feeling like I had to go into a big group of people. But it set me up for where I am. It's almost like I needed to go through those experiences to be able to stand in front and say, I went through this, and like you will get through it too.
Thank you. That's a great story because I bet a lot of people can identify with that, and I certainly can. And we were talking earlier before the show about how we have a lot of similarities in our chart. And like you, I have this balance between this outgoing part and this more reserved, introverted aspect. So I loved hearing that. Um, Let me ask you just one more question about that. What were some strategies or techniques that helped you get through that period?
Um, that's a great question. So social media, because it was really even start building then, like just to even go, like if you meet somebody online and say, let's go together, like just even if you have never met them in person, like just going to somebody you connected with before, like that for me helped a lot. And that would be one suggestion that I would definitely say worked for me. I think also too, like I really started to become more spiritual, like meditating and getting more in tune with myself. I mean, it was really hard because I wasn't really as open as I am now to that. But I think starting myself to be was very important. So yeah, that helped me too.
That's great. Thank you. The next question I want to ask is, what would you say your superpower is?
See how that's a great.
Or or your secret sauce that makes you unique and different?
So I had okay, that's such a great question. So I don't really know how to explain this, but I can give two examples of this. So obviously, I feel like I'm in public relations and the communications world for a reason, because when I bring people together, no matter at the celebrity realm or at like a networking, like startup, small business realm, the people that I interact with do long term things together. So I think that to me feels like I don't know. I'm almost like a door opener that like I allow people to like know that you're all at the same value and like worth connecting with. I don't know what the superpower would be, but I'm seeing the results and fruits of my labor that I'm putting my time into, even if it's months and years down the line. And that's something that seems to be really consistent. So yeah.
That's great. And what are you most passionate about in your current business?
So I think for a lot, when I started my business, it was because I felt when I was growing up that I was never enough. And I always had to like constantly put myself out even more extra to be seen and heard and share my voice. And that was really hard. And I never wanted anybody to feel like that.
Jackie just said that when she was growing up, she felt like she was never enough and had to work extra hard to be seen and heard. Jackie's south node of the moon is in Virgo. That means she has some past life karma around feelings like not being good enough. Often, our past life baggage will repeat itself in some way in our childhood, and here we have it. When she was growing up, she didn't feel like she was good enough. With her sun in Virgo, she's driven to work hard to turn her skills into something of value that she can offer to others, taking a weakness, turning it into a strength. Jackie rose to the challenges of the Virgo shadow and self protective Cancer moon and grew into someone who works and plays in the glamorous world of fashion and celebrities.
To be seen and heard and push them out of their comfort to not have to go through what I did to get there.
That's, I can tell you, that is something that is so familiar to new entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs, and to hear that you had this story and how you've overcome it and you've gotten to where you are is really inspiring and empowering to others. And now you turn around and you help others do that. So that's pretty exciting. Um, Let me just ask you, what challenges are you still working on now? If you don't mind sharing, because we all, no matter how successful we are, we always have those obstacles or things we still have to work on, or either what challenges or what makes you still leave your comfort zone, even now.
Yeah, sorry, my dog's in the background, so she's like moving things. So if you hear anything, I just want to apologize in advance. I like hear her.
Okay, we
Um,
like dogs.
yeah, okay, good. I would say for me, it's definitely I still struggle with the not enough and people pleasing. But I think as you grow to a certain point in your career, even personally, like there comes to a point where if it isn't serving you anymore, you have to like let it go and like accept it. And I think for a while, like I still definitely struggle with that.
What is one piece of advice you would have for um, a new entrepreneur, a woman who's just starting out, who struggles with some of these things?
I think what I never knew when I started my business is hire a coach or watch YouTube videos, you know, depending on like where your budget is. Like I started with YouTube videos, right? Like YouTube is a great resource. So like get your knowledge there. And then as you grow, you don't know everything. And that's why like I still invest in myself because there has to be you have to grow at certain peaks and there are people that just have more experience than you. So
Great.
that's
Thank you so much. Now, if people want to learn more about you, where can they go?
all right, guys, if you are interested in learning more, you can check out nextonscene.com. We would be so happy to connect with you. And if we can't be a resource, we would be so happy to refer you to the right people.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jackie. This was amazing. And everyone, I encourage you to go check out Next on Scene because she really does consolidate and offer everything you need to really get your business visible in media, marketing, and whatever it is you need. So, thanks again and see you for the next episode.
Thanks, Steph.
Thanks again to Jackie Zuk for being on today's episode. Be sure to check out Next on Scene magazine and podcast and see up and coming movers and shakers. If you enjoyed this episode, please do take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review, and share it with your friends. This will help get the word out about Planets and Profit. Thank you for spending your precious time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you next episode.